Tips to write the perfect essay. Essay writing to others comes naturally, but for many it is something that must be mastered and constantly practiced. To know how to answer an essay question in a way that will score high marks, you should take comfort in learning that you can apply the same strategies and formulas to almost any piece of academic writing. Once you learn how to write a great essay, whether it is a regular essay, a reflective essay, a dissertation or thesis, a course assignment, coursework, or something else. Number 1. Understand the question. There are some of the typical phrases found in questions from the essay, and each reveals a different set of expectations. For example, if you are asked to analyze a specific theoretical approach critically, you have to gain an understanding not only of that theory, but also of other common approaches. Both of them must be balanced against each other, highlighting each theory's relative strengths and limitations, and significantly, you must come to a well-justified and assured conclusion. Is the theory nice? What are its defects? How can it be enhanced? However, you don't really need to go through too much critical detail if you are asked to determine the utility of something. Yes, you should still recognize alternate methods, and yes, certain strengths and shortcomings will still be acknowledged, but the majority of the work must emphasize the functional utility of the principles. Number 2. Create a list of credible sources. It's not always easy to decide what sources you can use for your essay. Using sources like Google Scholar or the library website of your school to find credible, peer-reviewed sources is a smart idea. Books are also a good resource, but before finding anything relevant for your subject, you may have to read through a lot of data. The advantage of online tools is that keywords relating to your assignment can be easily searched for, making your study a breeze. Be sure to write notes about the sources and the website from which you received the information. There's nothing worse than writing an essay and then having trouble recalling where you got the data from. Your grade would be enhanced and less likely to be challenged by a correctly cited article. Number 3. Experiment with form. The simple 5-paragraph essay type we should all understand. For early writing, this is a useful blueprint. Begin with the introductory paragraph that includes your thesis. In the body of the document, support your thesis with 3 observations, each one its own paragraph. Conclude a paragraph with a description. Fine. But once you've mastered this most basic of systems, try to arrange your ideas in some new ways. Get the box out, read some essays by great authors, and pay attention to how their ideas are arranged. You will note that few, if any, follow the model of a 1-3-1, which we are all taught in school. Their thoughts, one paragraph leading to another, seem to come more organically. Some essays are mainly prose, clarifying the point of the story or description with just a line or two. Some are circular, before returning to the original thesis at last, wandering through many theories. Others are pure digression, starting in one direction and finishing somewhere that you wouldn't expect. Number 4. Use academic vocabulary. In order to reinforce your point, make sure that you are using academic vocabulary in your essay. As this sounds less scholarly, avoid terms such as consider, use, and a lot. In your sentences, introductions, body, and conclusion, make sure to use descriptive terms to help your reader understand key points. There's a significant need to use academic phrases in the article when writing an academic essay. You will be well on your way to satisfying the reader of your paper by writing answers to the paper queries with a well-thought-out structure and use of academic vocab then. Number 5. Be critical. Perfect theories and academic methods are uncommon, with shortcomings in the apparent majority of theories, claims, and research. If you are trying to scrape a pass, being descriptive is good, but you need to prove for a higher grade that you are able to exploit logical reasoning in your dealing with academic materials. What are the limits of the ideas that you draw on? In the literature, how were these dealt with? How do they influence the consistency of the presented claims? And to what degree do they restrict our comprehension of what you are studying? What alternative theories might provide additional depth? What's going to make the essay stand out in critical thought? It indicates the marker that in your studies, you are not just repeating the points that have been fed to you, but actually engaging in an academic way with theories. When reading literature reviews and written papers, a good way to practice this is to pay close attention. You can find that writers do not simply summarize previous studies, but provide a criticism that contributes to a discrepancy in their own study. Number 6. Organization and writing an outline. When it comes time to actually writing your essay, doing any of this won't be beneficial unless you're prepared. Thus, start by making notes on the subject in the form of an outline once you have chosen your subject. An outline is essentially a description of what topics you want to write about and subtopics. A summary of the information you want to use and the related sources can be used. This is important for the development of great body parts that flow nicely. Most students are taught in high school to structure their essays using the Burger method with a start, middle, and end. The same is true of college and university essays, but the body of the essay also contains far more detail. However, as well as the introduction and conclusion paragraphs, the basic structure remains the same. Number 7. Argue both sides. Before you start writing, it may help to outline both sides of the argument if you have to compose a longer or more complicated essay. You would need to pick one hand to concentrate on as you write the essay. By getting a side-by-side list of points can be helpful in designing your thesis while you plan. Also, you will learn which points you need to answer in your essay better by arguing on the opposite side of your view. In order to enrich the essay, you will learn more about the subject and you will obtain more vocabulary words. Number 8. Quoting, paraphrasing, and plagiarism. Academic writing needs a careful balance between new claims and arguments put forward by others. Without drawing on a single source, writing a full novel essay suggests that you have not made yourself acquainted with what has already been written. Conversely, for any made point, referencing others implies that you have not created a novel argument. As such, when making a statement of fact or drawing on arguments, frameworks, and hypotheses provided by other scholars, it is crucial that you provide evidence. In exchange, these should help the underlying novel claim that you are making yourself. The difference between quoting and paraphrasing is crucial to consider when drawing on other authors. The general rule of thumb is that whenever possible, you can paraphrase and quote only when appropriate or if the argument you are making is explained. That said, without sacrificing the inheritance meaning of the claim made, paraphrasing can be difficult. Number 9. Transition properly from paragraph to paragraph. Using proper transitions and combining them with a strong subject sentence is the best way to prevent your reader from wandering off and wondering where your essay is going. You'll want to turn the reader into what you're writing about when starting a new paragraph by using terms such as in addition, but in addition, and nevertheless. Use whatever word is suitable, but do not overuse the words for every paragraph by using the same transition word. Furthermore, you want to start a paragraph with a good intro phrase that should introduce your concept and potentially expand on what you have already said. Your idea should be concluded by the end of your paragraph, and no new facts should be mentioned, and references should not be needed. Number 10. Conclude your essay. It is not always easy to introduce and conclude, so some writers tend to leave the introduction until they have written their essay or are prepared to modify it. There will be a nice move to a good closing paragraph, and you will want to restate your thesis in various terms. You should not use new facts or sources, but rather summarize what you have written and ensure that your argument's content is in accordance with what you have said in your thesis. Once you have shown a clear understanding of the subject of your thesis, conclude the conclusion with something catchy. It should inspire the reader to think about the subject more, or it should leave your reader with a lasting impression.